So today's call will be discussing about what Cypress is, and these are the topics that I'll be covering. Right? We'll start briefly with what Cypress is, then we'll dive into the architecture side of things, how it works, how it is different from Selenium and other frameworks in the market, and we'll briefly discuss about some of the features that Cypress offers, and we'll also talk about the installation steps, and we'll be writing our first test, and we'll see that how fast Cypress is. And at the end, we'll briefly touch upon what test runner and playground is, two things which are offered by Cypress. And at the last, we'll open the floor for questions and answers, right? All right. Before we start, I just want to know, if there's anyone on the call who has, never heard about Cypress before, or does not have any idea at all. Is there anyone? No. So is it fair to assume that all of you have some understanding about Cypress? Guys, don't shy away from speaking up. It's fine if you don't have any idea about that. That's perfectly okay. That will help me understand, and I'll try and explain things in more detail, just so that it's clear to everyone. All right. And has anyone worked with any of the other automation frameworks in the past, Selenium
Yes,
or any other automation tool?
Selenium test engine.
we worked earlier on Selenium.
Someone was speaking for some reason, not able to hear anything. Can someone try speaking once again? I guess Ashu or Kavita were trying to speak earlier.
Yeah, earlier I worked with Selenium with it is test engine API and then other API also.
Awesome. Great. Anyone else who has worked? Pingarelli says their experience in Cypress. Awesome. All right. Okay. So yeah, let me explain what Cypress is. I'm sorry, someone was saying.
Yeah, we worked on Selenium and other tools like JMeter earlier.
Great. Good to know. Thank you.
Thank
Yeah. So it's good to know that you guys already have some experience with automation in the past. Uh, Linga already has worked with Cypress. Good to know that. All right. So Cypress is basically a JavaScript-based automation framework, right? It's not just used for the front end, I mean, heavily for front end, but also it allows you to, test out your APIs where you can also manipulate the behavior of those, right? So it's a JavaScript-based end-to-end automation testing framework for modern web applications. The reason we say it for modern web applications is that earlier the applications were used to build on older technologies, right? Since Node.js, React frameworks, they have come to the market. The whole the idea of web applications have changed, right? So we needed a tool in the market which could cater to those modern needs, which could be very fast and be easily adaptable to new technologies. So Cypress is one such automation framework in the market. It runs on top of Node.js. So it's a complete end-to-end automation testing framework, and it's not just suitable for QAs; it's also suitable for developers, right? Cypress has two versions. It comes with an open source free version, and it also has a paid version, which is called Cypress Cloud these days. Earlier, it was used to call Dashboard, but now it goes along with the term Cypress Cloud, right? So will be, I mean, pretty much all the features are supported with open source. It's just that for parallel execution and in cloud support, they have a paid version, which is needed. With Cypress, the test can be written in JavaScript. So there's just one, language which is supported by Cypress. though you can also write in TypeScript, but actually that's, I mean, at the end of the day, it gets converted into JavaScript only, and TypeScript is nothing but an extension of JavaScript, right? Uh, Cypress supports all the major browsers that are there. Chrome, Edge, Firefox. There's WebKit, which is a browser engine for Safari. So it is an experimental mode as of now. It does not fully or officially support it yet, but all the major browsers that are there are supported. Cypress also, bundles a few frameworks for you. So there are two frameworks. So Mocha and Chai, I'm not sure if you guys have heard about this. So Mocha is basically a JavaScript testing framework. Uh, like you have TestNG for Java. Mocha is one for JavaScript, and Chai is another one, which is assertion library. That is, both of them are bundled into Cypress, which comes by default. Now moving on to the architecture. So it's very important to understand the architecture of Cypress. I mean, that really explains a lot how Cypress works and why it is, one of the best automation frameworks available in the market. Why it is so much in demand, right? So Cypress, where it differs from the other frameworks is that it runs directly inside the browser. So browsers have engines to it, right? They have APIs to it. So Cypress runs directly inside their engine, and that is where it differs from some frameworks like Selenium. So it can listen and modify the browser behavior at runtime. It can manipulate the DOM elements, right? It can alter the network requests and the responses on the fly. That's what makes it very special, because not a lot of automation frameworks have that capabilities. So there are two images here. I just wanted to explain. So on the left side, this is more of an, how it used to work with Selenium. So you write your script here, write your Java or Selenium script. It interacts with a browser driver, right? You used to have drivers for every browser, Chrome driver, Gecko driver. You need to maintain those in your repository, and then there was the browser, right? So you would write your Selenium script, it would interact with the driver, and through driver it would interact and communicate with the browser, right? So this is how the flow was, and because of the mediums or this drivers being involved, the overall execution of it was somewhat slower, right? Yeah. Whereas the image on the right, this is about Cypress, right? So Cypress removes this middle layer, right? So you directly, you just focus on writing your execution or your automation script, and since it sits directly inside the browser, there's no middle layer, right? It communicates or executes your commands directly into the browser's API, right? And that's what makes it very fast. Okay. Just to add on top of it, there's another image that explains what all steps one used to perform to set up a framework like Selenium, and what are the steps needed for Cypress, right? So on the left side we see a bunch of steps. So first we used to select a framework. By framework we mean a testing framework, Mocha, Jasmine, Karma, any of these, right? Then we used to configure Selenium, right? Then we used to choose a Selenium wrapper, a WebDriver, or Nightwatch. So we used to set up all of these. Also for assertion, we needed to add Chai, right? If we wanted to work with JavaScript, or TestNG for Java. And for other functionalities, we used to add additional libraries, right? So these were the steps that one needed to perform to set up the Selenium framework. Now, when it comes to Cypress, all you have to do is run a couple of commands, install Cypress, and that's it. All of these would be done for you via Cypress. Like I mentioned that Cypress bundles Mocha and Chai for you. There's no need to configure any framework. There's no need of a wrapper there. And for additional libraries, there are a lot of plugins available with Selenium with Cypress, which are easily integrated with Cypress. So the installation and setup work is very fast. I mean, to be very honest, if you were to set up Cypress, I think it would not take more than 10 minutes, and you would be able to get started with your, writing your test. So one thing which Cypress really wanted to emphasize on was they didn't want people to spend a lot of time on setting up frameworks, configuring it, focusing away from actually writing end-to-end tests. So this is the major problem that Cypress wanted to, address. So they wanted people to really spend all of their time on writing tests, writing automation, and not worrying about anything else, right? This is what exactly Cypress does for you. Any questions so far, guys?
I have a question.
Yeah, please go ahead.
So, what all languages Cypress will support apart from Java, JavaScript?
So there's just JavaScript. In fact, next slide talks about that.
Okay, if we want to write scripts in C Sharp or other languages like Python, will it support or not?
No, it won't.
Okay.
It's built on top of JavaScript and Node.js, so it supports only JavaScript. You can write in TypeScript, but that also is an extension of JavaScript, which gets converted into JavaScript at the end.
Almost Selenium has all the features which Cypress has, right? So why we need to choose Cypress? Because Selenium will support not only Java but also other languages, right? Cypress does not support any of these languages, which is a limitation again. And Cypress will it support the grid or not? I'm not sure. So many features are not there in Cypress, right? So why we need to go for Cypress?
So when you say features, I mean, yeah, it does not support other languages, but in terms of features, I don't think there's anything which Cypress is not capable of doing, which Selenium offers. So I mean, there are a lot of things which are not directly doable with Cypress, but they have got plugins or workarounds for that. For example, for iframes or tabs, it's not straightforward, but they have workarounds available for that. And these are the things which they are working on, right? And when it comes to Selenium, I mean, why we should choose Cypress over Selenium? Selenium is outdated, right? Pretty much you can do everything with Selenium, but it's very slow. And one of the biggest asks in current market is that your automation should run very fast, right? With microservices in play, with CI/CD, incremental developments with Agile, you want to be able to build your applications fast, right? And for that to happen, you need your automation to work fast, and not just execution of it. How much time your team needs to write the automation. Those are the key things in the market right now. So I understand that if you are someone who does not have experience with JavaScript, or you are someone who is used to Python or Java or C Sharp, that could be a bit of a challenge for you at this time. But trust me, once you get a hold of JavaScript, you will be able to write automation tests in no time. I mean, it takes a few hours, to write end-to-end tests with Selenium. The same amount of work can be done with Cypress in a matter of minutes. That's how efficient Cypress is, right? And the support, the commands that are available with Cypress is much better than Selenium, right? And trust me, it's not hard to switch to JavaScript. If you are someone who has worked with either of these languages, Python, Java, or C Sharp, the concepts are same, right? The only change would be the syntax. And if you have a good hold on any of the language, it won't take more than a week to get used to a new language. And also the documentation that, that is available with Cypress is really good. So you can literally go to Cypress website, go to their docs, and you can search for anything, any command of theirs. They have got really good examples. If I show you any of the command, they have got really good examples for you. You can literally get a hands-on on Cypress following their documentation. It's that good. Even when I had started, I had not worked with JavaScript, but like I said, it didn't take me more than a week to get used to it and have the end-to-end automation ready. All
So
right,
will it support graphs?
it does. I mean, like I said, there are some plugins available, some workarounds available. Through those, it can. Even with Selenium, it does not support out of the box. You need to have either visual libraries installed, right? So through them only you can do those verifications. Similarly with Cypress also, the plugins can be integrated, which can be used for validating the graphs. Okay, moving ahead. We already discussed about one point of this. So, I mean, we are going to discuss how it is different for Selenium. In terms of browsers, pretty much the same. Selenium definitely supports more since it has been in the market for longer. But Cypress supports all the major browsers that are there. Safari is one which was missing, but again, they have enabled support for it in experimental mode. Pretty soon they will be, officially supporting that as well. Frameworks we have already talked about. Cypress supports Mocha, which is a JavaScript-based testing framework. Selenium supports others which are specific for the other languages. JUnit for Java, PyTest for Python, and so on. Talking about the setup complexity, setting up Cypress is very easy. Like I said, you just need to run a couple of commands and Cypress will be installed on your system. Whereas with Cypress, it's a bit challenging, right? You need to configure your framework. You need to download and maintain the drivers. You have to set up the other libraries yourselves, right? Whereas with Cypress, it's not needed. Talking about execution time, Cypress is way fast. Uh, you know, Selenium it's slower because again the communication happens through drivers, and that takes time. It adds latency. Whereas with Cypress, the execution is really fast. It directly runs inside the browser. It has terrific performance when compared to other frameworks out there. Now, talking about the documentation and community support, Selenium, since it has been in the market for very long, it has got good documentation, support on different forums. This is one area where Cypress has done really well in the past 2 years. It has grown rapidly, and pretty much everything you will be able to find on their website or on different forums like Stack Overflow. The community has grown exponentially in the last few years, and it used to be a challenge in the early days, but these days the documentation is on par with Selenium, so no complaints. You will find answer to anything with Cypress. Okay, now let's talk about some of the features which Cypress offers. So also these are the features which are not available in some in Selenium. So I think that this will also help answer that question why Cypress is better and why one should go for that. So one of the features that it supports is time travel, as they like to call it. So basically, Cypress takes snapshots automatically for you, at every step. With Selenium, you had to write the code for that, right? Whenever you wanted to take a snapshot. With Cypress, that is all built in. So it allows you to take, not allows it. In fact, you can configure whether you want to enable snapshots or not. If enabled, which is by default, it will capture every step, every page of your application at every step, right? That you can refer to later. Because of this, the debuggability is really good. It becomes a lot easier to debug your failures. So you can see the logs, you can see snapshots. It also captures videos, if enabled, of your test. So all of these, yeah, are available at the enter test, which you can refer to, which makes it really easy to, find the blockers in your test. Another important feature that Cypress offers is automatic waiting. So, it automatically adds waits for your commands. Uh, with Selenium, you either had to define implicit wait or explicit wait, right? Whereas with Cypress, it's a configuration property. You can define how much timeout you want to have, or what is the wait you want to have for every command. So that applies to all of the commands, even for the assertions or page loading or element to be visible, all of them. You do not need to specify, that I want this way to work for the element to be visible or something else. By default, for every command, everything, it will have the waiting enabled for you, right? And also, it also supports overriding the waiting for a particular command or particular assertion. That is also doable. Now, one really impressive thing which Cypress offers and which is not available in Selenium or other frameworks in the market is it allows you to control the clocks of the application, and also it has support for stubs. So with stubs you can actually alter the responses or behavior of the APIs, right? This is something which cannot be done through Selenium. So you can actually you can do some operations through UI which will trigger an API call, and you can actually manipulate the response of that API so that your UI would render it differently. That can be done through Cypress. A lot of people actually make use of this feature and really use it in a more end-to-end way, not just for UI but also some validations of the APIs too, right? Uh, Clocks is something which you can manipulate the system time. So, for example, there's an application. Say you load a page, it loads the page say after 5 seconds, right? But what would happen? You every time you run the test, you would have to wait 5 seconds and then resume that, right? You would have to introduce sleep or anything into your execution script, right? Whereas with Cypress, they offer a feature called clocks, which can manipulate the application time. So you can set it to like say Cypress clock tick by 5 seconds. So it will make the browser's time move forward by 5 seconds immediately. So your test would not have to wait for anything, right? So all of these manipulations can be done through Cypress. And all of these are possible because Cypress is residing inside the browser's engine, right? Screenshots, videos, we already talked about. It automatically takes screenshots, videos for you. You can also replay a test through the test runner. All of these things are supported. It also supports parallel execution. This is something which comes with the paid version of it. So they allow you to run your tests at the same time on different browsers, different machines, store all of their results on cloud. You can refer to that anytime. So this is something again, which is offered by Selenium, sorry, with Cypress, which is not there with Selenium, right? So I mean, with Selenium, you would have to go to a different player like browser, stack, or I guess there's Sauce Labs, right, for these kind of solutions. Whereas with Cypress, this comes, in house with a paid version. But honestly, uh, having worked in the market, having worked for a different companies, different projects, I never felt the need for it. The open source version is good enough to have the full end-to-end automation running.
I have a question.
Yeah,
So, does it support dashboards or reports?
reports. Yeah, it supports Mocha awesome reports that are generated by Cypress by default. Coming to dashboard is a feature which is offered by Cypress, which is actually a cloud where they have their dashboards. It keeps a history of all the execution runs, and it gives you a good dashboard to look at the history of every test, every execution, the time it took, the success rate of it. That is what is offered by Cypress Cloud, which is dashboard. But yeah, talking about reports, the default one which is supported by Cypress is Mocha Awesome. Any other question, guys? No. Okay. Yeah. Now let's talk about the installation steps. So, like I said, that just a couple of commands. So all you need for Cypress is Node.js, right? You can go to the Node.js website, install this, and you're good. You can have the editor of your choice. Usually with JavaScript-based code, Visual Studio is which is recommended, but you can work with any other as well. So you have to just create a new folder, run these two commands, and you're done, right? So show you that. So to save us time, I had already installed those couple of commands. So the first one, which is npm-i init, basically creates a default package.json file for you. So with JavaScript modules, this is the main file. This is the main node configuration file. Here you define everything. So it asks for a very basic details, and it creates a JSON file for you. When we run the other command, which is npm install Cypress, it downloads everything for you. It hardly takes 2-3 minutes, and it installs this node modules for you. So all the libraries, APIs are available here.
Sorry
Right?
to interrupt you.
Yeah.
Are you showing something on other screen more than this PPT?
Oh, my bad. I didn't realize that was not visible. Yeah, I was showing some other screen. Let me share my screen. It's not allowing me to share my entire screen for some reason.
We could able to see only the paper, only the PPT only, which you're showing.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, it's not allowing me to share the other screen. Let me see if I can share it over here. I hope you're able to see my editor now.
Yeah, it is fine now.
Can you maximize the screen?
Maximize. Is it? No. Let me see if I can increase the font.
Actually, I have a question here. So this
Yeah.
demo contains only installation and some set of actions on web application and also API.
Not about API, but yeah, we'll be writing a very basic test to get you familiar with how easily we can get started, and I'll be showing about a couple of things like test runner and the playground.
So nothing about API.
Not in this session.
Uh,
Okay, I'm not able to see. Oh, I'll need to explore that later. But you guys are saying, is it not visible, not readable?
I think it is fine in the
Sorry, what was it? Okay. Yeah. Okay. We'll be opening Cypress and we'll be writing our first very basic test. Yeah, I just wanted to show you one more thing. So let me open Cypress. So when you open your Cypress for the first time, it asks or basically takes a couple of details for it to configure, right? So let me go ahead with end-to-end. So it adds or asks, what all files it can add for you by default. So let me select all. Now it is asking for me which browser I want to move forward. And let's go ahead with Chrome, right? One thing I wanted you to First one is that it created a Cypress folder for me. It has got some directories over there. We'll be talking about those in a minute. But yeah, let's create a new spec. Let it be this one. So here it has created these directories end to end where all the execution or test files can reside, right? And it gave us a sample as well, right? So pictures is nothing but a test data directory where you can have your test data, right? Example is shared. Support is important, which is more from the configuration point of view. You can define your custom commands that can be used throughout the suite, or you can do some other tasks which you can define in these files, right? So these are more of the configuration
We are
files.
not able to see your screen.
Sorry,
For
come
us,
again.
it is visible actually.
Okay. And is this browser visible? Cypress?
Yes.
So, okay,
The
perfect.
session is visible.
So I was mentioning that the support folder here you can specify or write your custom commands that can be used, and some other tasks that you want to define, like something about connecting to database. All of those can be written over here, right? It also creates a config file for you, which is a Cypress config. So this is from where the configurations are defined, like the timeouts, everything can be configured over here. So let's go to this. So it created a sample test for us. So for the time being, people who have not worked with Mocha or JavaScript, you can ignore the syntax or the structure of it. This is basically like a suite or a class that is there in TestNG. It is basically a test method that is there in TestNG. So yeah, just let's ignore the syntax for now. So cypress.visit is a command which opens the page for you. Uh, if I try and write anything, it won't show me the methods that are available there, right? So there's one command which you can add at the top of the file, and it enables IntelliSense for us. Now, if I try and write something, it will show me all the commands that are available there, right? So going back to the test, so this is basically the test runner of Cypress, right? You can here see all the specs that are available there. Specs are nothing but your test files. The runs, these features require, connecting to cloud. But again, we do not want to store our history. That's perfectly fine. So it will show all the test files that are there. You can click on any of those and it will start the execution, right? And if you hover over any step, it will show you how your page looked at that point. And let's add something more to it, and we'll see how that works, right? Uh, Now, the last thing that we wanted to cover was about the playground. Again, a very unique feature that Cypress offers. So, if you were to, select any element on the web page, you would have to, go to inspect, write the selectors on your own, right? Whereas Cypress offers you that as well. So, if you click on this, this will enable the playground for you. And what you can do is click on any of the elements, right? And it will show you the selector for it, right? So if your applications is written in a very good way where you have good attributes defined for all the elements, then it comes in really handy. It may not look very good for something like this, where there are a lot of elements and they don't have a unique property. So Cypress generally recommends, when building your application, not just Cypress, I think it's a standard that when building your application to have a unique property, linked to it. So if you have that, this will, save you a lot of time going through the hassle of writing the selectors yourself. So right, let's go ahead with that. It will automatically get you the unique way of selecting that element. So let's just copy, and also it gives you the command how you can access this. So let's just add it over here. What we want to do is we want to select this element. We want to click it, right? And let's just save this. right? The moment you save your test, it will automatically retrigger. And see, it's taking hardly a second to run this. So now if I go to this, when I was at this command, it is also showing me the command and the page, how it looked at that, right? So first it visited this page. You can see the URL is also reflecting, right? This is how the page looked, right? Now it wanted to, I mean, we wanted to click on get this element. And if you notice over here, on the right side, it is highlighting that get element for us, right? So it is also showing us what the page was, which element was getting selected. When we clicked on it, you can see there's a red dot highlighting that element that it actually clicked on it, right? It waited for the new page to load and the new page loaded, and we can see the URL got changed, right? So this is what snapshots of Cypress is. At every command, every step, it will have a snapshot available for you, and you can also pin, right? So if I click on any step, this will pin that page for you. So everything is supported by Cypress. Uh, let's do some assertions over there, right? Let's say let's verify the URL, right? Let's say we want to verify the URL. So this should is actually a command from Mocha, Chai, right? Should include this. So now it will do an assertion for you as well, that it will verify that the URL was what we mentioned, right? So we can see the assertions being highlighted in green, right? Now if I change anything, let's say this, see now it's actually waiting for the default timeout, right? So it's waiting that it may still load, that URL may come, right? So we can see it timed out, retrying after 4 seconds, and it didn't get what we were looking for. It didn't match, right? And it is also highlighting which command in your file exactly it failed. So yeah, if everything is right, Cypress runs in no time. Right? Selenium is not even half as fast as this. See, only 769 milliseconds it took to run this test. I know it's a very basic, it's a very small test, but the execution is really fast. Yeah, and like I said, with Playground, it becomes very easy to select any of the elements. You do not have to spend a lot of time on getting the selectors yourself. You can choose to, or you can choose, use their Playground. It helps you a lot. So, and again, I'm someone who has worked with different frameworks that are there in the market. uh, I find it really easy and to set up a new automation framework with Cypress. I have literally set up the end-to-end automation frameworks in 2 days. That's how efficient Cypress is. All right. I think we have covered everything that was to be in this session. Yeah. So I'm gonna open the floor for questions.
Action.
Right.
Yeah, this is Cypress. How it is different from the Playwright?
So Playwright is also again modern automation framework. Where it differs is that with Playwright you have to do some configurations. I mean, there are some things which comes bundled with Cypress which do not come with Playwright. With Playwright, it offers you a flexibility to choose on your own. I mean, again, you can choose to go ahead with Mocha or Jest or any other test library. Whereas with Cypress, it comes on all bundled in, right? If you want to talk about the ease of writing tests, setting up your automation, Cypress is better at that because it is bundled with with those, and it's strictly around those. So also in terms of new features that are being put into the market. I think Cypress is doing a better job than Playwright. But with Playwright, it offers you a bit more flexibility. By flexibility, I mean that with Playwright, you can actually write your tests in Java or TypeScript, JavaScript, or any other language, right? So it supports a bit more languages for you. But with that, the complexity gets added because for your application to work with those languages, you would have to do a lot of configuration, and the plugins might differ that are there, right? So if you want to have more flexibility, that you want to have an option to be able to connect with different libraries, with different plugins of your choice, then Playwright is a better option. But if you are absolutely sure that language is not a problem for me, I just want to really focus on my end-to-end automation, and want to be able to set up the framework really quickly, then Cypress is a better choice.
Yeah, both of them are only core based only JavaScript only. Both the applications we're working on for developed on.
Yeah.
So
So
what is the main
hmm,
complexity? Which way you can observe what is the main complexity in between the Playwright and the Cypress? Because you said like the plugins and then more configurations will happen in the Playwright. But within the
hmm,
Cypress, we will get on the by default with which are the framework API and the other libraries also repository will get on them by default with the child like kind of registers. So
okay.
what is the main complexity we can observe from the vary from a Playwright and a Cypress?
So complexity is basically this only, right? Setting up and configuring everything. So when we say Playwright offers you a choice to choose a language of your choice, though it is built on top of JavaScript, but it allows you to write script in different languages. So with Cypress, because it does not allow you, it comes bundled with some things. So you do not really have to worry about configuring anything for you, right? If you were to write your script in Java with Playwright, you would have to do the configurations. You would have to take care of, pulling in those libraries, whatever is needed, right? Whereas with Cypress, it's not needed at all. Like we saw in the demo, right? There's just one command that you need to run, and you are all set. You do not need to worry about configuring anything, right? Everything is bundled in. With Playwright, you would have to do some steps on your own. And also in terms of the syntax of the both, Playwright is a little bit more complex. I mean, the syntax of Cypress is really easy. Even if you don't, know all the commands of Cypress, that's perfectly fine. I mean, the terminologies are such that it's very easy to understand. So, you know, if I were to put it in a nutshell, I would say that if you want the ease of writing tests, Cypress is a better choice. If the language is not a problem for you. If you want to work only in a specific language other than JavaScript, and you are okay to, take do the extra steps of configuration and setting up your frameworks, if you're fine with that, doing that extra work, then Playwright could be a better option for you. But only if you do not want to use Mocha, JavaScript, or Chai. If you want to, use something like Jest or Java, SNG, then Playwright could be a better option for you.
Not
Yeah.
sure,
Any other
even
question?
some different opinions about Playwright.
Mhm.
I thought that Playwright is very easy. It comes with the end-to-end framework with one install, one step.
Mhm.
Okay, maybe I need to go back and see how it works.
Yeah. So
It's only one command. It is a
when
ready-made
you say
framework.
once using their default or what comes, yeah, correct.
It's
But if
only
you
an
want
end-to-end
to
framework
say,
comes with installation, and just we need to
mhm,
install and just run the scripts directly.
correct, but you are
What
still using their
additional
default
configurations I
configurations,
do not
right?
understand. Uh,
So when you say you are just running a command to install it and you are ready to go, that is correct. But that is when you are using the default, what comes by default, right? If you were to say integrate Jest with it or any other library with it, then you would have to perform those operations. right? It's not that the default are not good enough for you to get started. It is perfectly fine. But
Yeah,
if
even same with the Cypress as well, right? Because if you want to use Mocha frameworks, you need to install plugins. If you want to do this iframes, you need to install plugins. So anything is also with Cypress, right? We need to install the plugins and we need to do the configurations.
see, uh, even with plugins, you really don't have to do much of a configuration. You just need to add a couple of commands or basically lines into the config file of Cypress, and it will take care of it. Because those plugins are mostly of them are built by Cypress team only. So they are taking care of everything from the configuration point of view. See, the configuration is not a very big challenge, even with Playwright, right? So
Yeah, yeah,
when I say you want to integrate with other libraries, that's a different thing. So plugin is a very different thing. Plugins are built that way that it's very easy to be plugged into your application. You wouldn't have to do a lot of steps. Integration is different, right? So if you wanted,
okay.
say, instead of Mocha, you want to use Jest, or you want your libraries to behave in a certain way of your choosing, right? Then a lot of steps are needed. Playwright also, the default configurations that it has, you can get started with it very quickly if you are okay using their default. But Playwright is more suitable for developers where you want to have a lot of control over your application, where you are going to be doing a lot of integrations, and you want to have that flexibility available to the team. If talking from a complete QA point of view, I personally found Cypress, a better choice because even in terms of learning curve, the commands, I found Cypress one to be a lot easier, right? Because the only
Yeah,
learning
100%.
curve, yeah, the only learning curve that I had to do was get used with JavaScript. That's it.
Yeah, got it. Thanks, Akshay.
Hi, Kakshay. This is a
Yeah.
small doubt only. It is not from the technical. As a point of view and guardian, uh, is there in future the Cypress, which is you said, will replace the Selenium? I mean, how much will be in the market?
Definitely, I think it already has up to a lot of extent. I mean, a lot of companies have switched from Selenium to Cypress because see, uh, the biggest ask in today's world is that your test should be really fast. You should be able to write automation really quickly. Your test should run very fast, right? This is where Selenium is lacking, and you know with these modern applications, Cypress and Playwright are the ones which have a really good future. A lot of teams, a lot of companies have already switched, and the ones which are still using Selenium are because either they don't have the resources which are okay to have the learning curve, or they have the legacy applications, which is a bit of a task for them to switch to any other framework. But if there's a new application being built, I have seen teams preferring Cypress over Selenium.
Okay.